Hello everybody, it's Spooky back with another Stadium video today. Hopefully you guys are doing good. YouTube, thank you guys so much for the support on the videos lately. We are going to be talking about the latest nerf to Mei. And yes, it lasted not as long as I thought it would, but it did get nerfed. Was slow ball. So slow ball, actually, if you guys, you might have missed it, man. It was only up for like 48 hours. So if you guys did miss the slow ball buff that happened on Tuesday, Mei's slow ball went from having only a slow effect when you hit crits to now, well, not now, but like to it being able to do 30% slow anytime you did impact on like basically any character, just anytime, no crits necessary or anything. Now yesterday they did, or last night more so, they hot fixed a few things that included Mei's slow ball, so now it only does 15% slow. So they axed it, man. They 50% reduced it. And you know, I'm gonna be real here. I don't think that was a good choice for slow ball. I think 15% is pretty much just useless now at this point, because you know, like her primary does it does 20% slow base, so having that 15% just even less, it's gonna feel like you're not really even doing anything, and I honestly do think it's not going to impact that much of the game. But today we are going to take a look at it, see how it feels, depending on, you know, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I want to see how the 15% slow feels. We're going to talk about it, and then we're also going to talk about some more stuff that I'd like to see with Mei going forward in Stadium, so we can talk about some future things maybe that we'd like to see as a community, or just Mei players in general, that we'd like to see happen for Mei. So all right, so I did have some problem with the recording here on the first round, so I did have to go into the replay viewer to grab this footage. So you'll probably see some outlines of enemy players. That's just the first round. Don't worry about it. That'll all be fixed on round 2 for our regular games. Like you can see right now, we're gonna see like outlines of everybody as we play. But now, what I wanted to talk about, obviously the big thing is slow ball, right? Like, did this nerf make slow ball like completely unusable, or can I still use this in some builds, or like is this just something we're gonna have to change? This is, I wanted to play this game to get like a real good feel for it, and I do want to say that it didn't feel bad. More so, I just didn't feel anything. Like I didn't really at the beginning, you know, I was trying to keep an eye on, like, you know, how much I could feel the slow happening on them, but I'm gonna be real, after like these first few fights, like I stopped noticing anything about it at all. Basically for the rest of the match, I just kind of forgot about it, and I feel like that's kind of the power it is right now. It's kind of just like an equip it and forget about it, and you're not even gonna notice you're having it. And that's kind of the problem I have with slow ball, especially as a power. You know, a power is supposed to be something, at least how everything else works. A power is something you select and you can feel a significant change in your hero and how you can play with that. And the problem with slow ball at 15% slow is that you just don't, nothing changes, right? And you don't feel anything, you don't really see anything different. So it does feel like a waste of power. Now, does that mean it's a bad pick? I don't think so. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's bad. It's not like a massive waste of that slot, but like, you know, if you're gonna ask me personally, I'm probably not gonna be picking this power very often, or if at all, at 15%. I need something that's gonna reward me as a player for picking that, and maybe even something that interacts with the rest of the powers. You know, slow ball doesn't really get to work with anything else, right? We've got what? We've got for our primary fire, we've got what? Extendothermics. We've got frost armor. We've got cold blaster that can all work with each other. But with our right clicks, all we've got now is, which we've always had, is just slow ball, right? So you don't really get to invest too much, and it just feels to me like something that's a little bit of a waste to invest in for the end game. Now, I have heard some really good ideas about how to fix slow ball to make it something that's not extremely annoying, to other players, but also not completely just useless in the match. So my original idea, I thought they were going to nerf this from 30% to 20% to match it with the primary slow. 15% seemed pretty brutal. Now, if you were to ask me if you want to just make it easy on yourselves, just up it to 20%, and I guarantee you, it's you can just leave it at that. I probably wouldn't complain about it. Now, if you actually want to make slow ball in a kind of interactive perk that rewards the player and you can feel the impact, make it that flat 20. But then if you hit headshot, give them that 30% slow. You know, make it worth their time, or even I would even say even 35%, because most of these tanks, I'm telling you, can mitigate these headshots, so you're not going to be hitting it on repeat. And if you're hitting headshots on repeat, man, like either that tank doesn't know how to move, or like you just cracked at aiming. Like a 35% slow would actually really be worth it. And it would be one of those perks where it's like you're not going to be constantly slowing the tank down, and they're not really going to feel like that's happening, but they're going to notice when they get headshot that it does make them more vulnerable. And I think that would be a really good balance. Give it a flat 20% on body shots. Make it a 35% slow on headshots for 1 second. And I'm telling you, man, for me, that would be a power that I would seriously consider in future builds. I've heard some other stuff like, you know, you start at 0%, but like if you hit a target like multiple shots, it goes like 10, 20, 30%. If you hit them in succession without missing a shot. And then as long as you keep shooting him, it stays at that 30%. I think that'd be fine, but again, that just encourages like spamming down tanks so they can't move. So I'm not really a huge fan of that idea. So, but giving them the option, I really like still having the option for that headshot that you can do to really slow them down. 30% for 1 second. If you're going to make it at 1 second, it's got to be more than 30%, right? Because Cyber Venom, you literally just equip Cyber Venom and you can slow them down for 2 seconds just by touching them with your mini blizzards. So for me, it just feels like a waste of time, you know? So that's slow ball. I hope they fix it soon. I mean, it's not like a pressing matter, but you know, it's something I hope they fix soon. Now, I do have some more stuff I want to talk about today. For example, some things I'd like to see the devs do with Mei going forward. And these are things I've been asking for since Stadium kind of came out. Now I've thought about a lot of stuff and I've actually let go of a lot of ideas, but these are the ones that I've constantly been wanting and I still want to see. And I don't think that it's going to make Mei overpowered. It's just going to make some quality of life updates that make her more fun to play and give her more options to be creative, right? Play in different ways, which is what Stadium's all about, right? Taking a hero and giving him multiple different ways to play the game. You know, one-dimensional heroes in Stadium are just kind of boring, right? And that's what I love about Mei. She's just so, you have so many options, so many different play styles you can do. So first off, I want to talk about basically something that I miss from Overwatch 1 is that the range on Mei wall used to be really far, right? Or in my opinion, just the right amount. But they severely nerfed the range at which you could cast a Mei wall in Overwatch 2. And it makes it for you have less options to do things with Mei walls. You really do have to push up to get those walls. And I'm telling you, even, what are we, like 2, 3? Yeah, almost 3 years after Overwatch 2 release, I'm still finding myself getting a little annoyed by how short the range is on the wall. So I think Stadium is a great way to experiment with maybe adding either a power, or in my opinion, what I think would be really probably a better idea is to add an item. Something like a 4,000 credit item that maybe gives you like 25 health, and then you get an extension on your wall range. Now, I think this would be really good because you can pair this up with Ice Sheet really well, and then it's going to encourage the player to actually go for these like really good walls that they can hit. Do like a build that centers around using your wall, because right now there's not really a build for that. There's just like our AP mini blizzard wall, and that just plays around using the mini blizzards. It's not really the wall itself that's the strength. But I think it'd be really cool to invest in that, and then you can toy around with you know, whether Mei's wall should have a little bit more range or not, especially for the base game, which I do agree she should, just a little bit. because it does feel just too short. But I think it'd be a really good option to add into the game. That's more of a personal one for me, but I've got quite a few more ideas here I want to talk about with you guys. Especially, and this is probably, you guys have probably heard me talk my head off about this one, is that ice pillar. So snowball flight, we need an option to rebind ice pillar to a different button. My God, this has been one of the most annoying things for me. I'm not even kidding. Every single time I'm thinking about grabbing snowball flight, I have an internal monologue that's like, okay, do I want to grab snowball flight? It would be cool to have a pillar, but I also am going to be accidentally triggering it pretty often, right? And I've noticed this, and I've heard this from other people as well, is that it's just way too easy to accidentally trigger it with the double jump, especially while jump is just so popular in the game. You know, we use it so often. It's really easy to accidentally trigger it. So giving us the option to rebind that, especially for something that has a 12-second cooldown. This isn't like a 2-second cooldown. This isn't like Hanzo Lunge or Lifeweaver Dash. This is a 12-second cooldown ice pillar that if we accidentally trigger, we don't get to use it for those 12 seconds. And I think that in itself justifies giving it its own binding. To make sure that you don't accidentally trigger those and mess that up, because I'm telling you, dude, it's messed up my gameplay so much. And I know it's something that I'm like really excited to use for like the movement. I'm excited for the utility that it gets with like the slow. There's so many cool things you can do with it, but I'm just constantly nervous about accidentally triggering it, that I find myself like keeping my thumb off my spacebar in like not jumping in certain moments where I would want to jump. It's just really intrusive into the gameplay experience, and I do hope that that's something that can change soon. Now, obviously, I don't know how difficult that is. It seems simple, but I don't know anything about game devs, so, you know, if that's something super, super intricate, then, you know, maybe that just won't happen in the future, but I think that's something that would be really good. Now, while we're on the topic of rebinding things, this is like more of a niche one that I've kind of wanted to. I've wanted since Overwatch 2 came out, because I've been having some weird issues. Now again, this isn't an issue I had in Overwatch 1. I played Mei plenty in Overwatch 1, never had an issue with this. But whenever I use wall, okay, right, and you press your ability button once to trigger wall, you press it again to get a straight wall, right? In Overwatch 2, and this happened right when the new servers dropped, I have an issue that if I hit the button too quick, it basically just lags out and it just doesn't register the other like switch. So let's say you know, I have my wall button set to E, and I press E once, it's a horizontal wall, and I press E twice and it's a straight wall. But if I press it too quickly, even though they're very, very distinct presses, it lags out and doesn't do the straight wall. So like, especially in like high level gameplay, when like every single decision in every single millisecond counts, this has screwed me over so many times that I can count. The amount of like, for my mobility, for my survivability, and I've kind of talked about it over the past 3 years, and I've kind of just tried to get over it. But it's something that, again, I don't know if it's like, maybe it's like a server issue, maybe it's like the tick rate or something's weird on it in Overwatch 2 now, and it's much more like, it's maybe something that might not be fixed is what I'm expecting. This is another issue that can just be solved. Just maybe give us an option to hotkey something to immediately go to a straight wall instead of a horizontal. Like, I'd love to be able to bind one of my mouse buttons to when I click it, it just goes straight, like it goes immediately to a straight wall, that completely bypasses the horizontal wall, so I don't even have to worry about that lag getting in the way of my gameplay. Now I don't know if many other Mei players have that issue. It depends. I think it's definitely more of like a high-ish level gameplay, because players, like, their actions per minute are very quick, right? It's a lot of actions per minute, and it seems like that only seems to be an issue around like diamond-ish players. But even if you're below diamond and you've noticed that, please let me know in the comments. if you've noticed it, because I'd love to make sure that the devs see that this is an ongoing issue, you know. And this isn't my internet. I've gone through different internets. I have gigabit internet now. I've had a whole computer upgrade. This has persisted since Overwatch 2. It was like an immediate shift. So I'd love to see something in that regard changed, just to make the quality of life gameplay a little bit better. I think it'd be really good. All right. So now we're on to another one. I never thought I'd be asking for a buff to Boulder, but I think the like colder, like Mei's Boulder, that like we're seeing right now, right? I never thought I'd be asking for a buff to it because it is one of the more annoying abilities. But there is something on there that I noticed that either wasn't intended or was intended for a specific reason, which is that it doesn't block damage. Now, I think the center of it does block damage, kind of like your cryo does, but like the full model of it doesn't block damage. Like you can shoot through Mei's Boulder and kill people behind it, which at first I thought wasn't the case, but then we really went into testing it, and yeah, it doesn't block damage. So bullets just phase through your Boulder, which is, to me, really weird. Now, I don't know if they just didn't want Mei to have like a lot of mitigation potential with the Boulder. But here's my case for why we should, and I'd rather give us the option to block damage and maybe scale back the amount of ability power it does, like the amount of damage the Boulder does, because it can work really well in AP, right, in your mini blizzards, but it could also have the potential to work for more of like a tanky build for Mei, something that's built more around mitigating damage, especially like hit scan damage or spam damage. It gives her more options to maybe use that Boulder to block that damage. So if there's any devs listening, and you know, if that was something that wasn't intended, I'd love to see a change on that. If that's something that was intended, maybe going forward, I'd like to see some more options to play Mei as a tank. You know, right now our only options are to be like just unkillable, just buff our HP and just soak up damage as Mei. But I'd like to see some more options to give her the ability to like block damage, you know, like Ice Sheet, you know, helps us be a little more tanky, but that's just wall. That's all we get to use to block damage. I'd love to see Boulder be able to be used as a pick to mitigate damage as well. It would be such a cool added thing that you can do, and it would sprout a lot of new builds to add the variety into the gameplay. I think it'd be really cool. Let me know what you think about that idea, by the way. That's one that I think especially non-Mei players wouldn't be too happy about, because they just hear like, let's buff Boulder. But again, I would like to make it less Boulder, less about just running into people and more about using it as a strategic piece of your utility, piece of your kit. All right. I don't know if you guys have been watching this game, by the way. Super crazy. I accidentally picked advanced antibiotics here without lifesteal. I noticed that and I was like, whoopsies. Okay, but let's talk some more stuff. Hopefully you guys are having fun with this, by the way. If you are enjoying it, please let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear more like idea sessions like this, where we talk about some like really cool ideas to change up Stadium. Because I'm telling you, man, I love Stadium right now. There's so much cool stuff you can do, and I am just so excited to see more stuff. But I'm not done. I still have a couple more ideas here that I'd like to share with you guys. Now, this is kind of a goofy one. It's not really an idea. It's more of a nudge. It's like, so back in June, this is back when Sigma and Zenyatta got released into Stadium. They did announce that they were going to buff Himalayan Hat to 15% attack speed. Base, and then 10% while in Blizzard. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Himalayan Hat has not been updated. It is still at 10% weapon speed base, and I noticed this on day one when the patch went through, and I was like, oh, maybe they just forgot to like update it. They'll probably hotfix it. It's almost August, and that hasn't changed. So I would like to know why. Maybe it's either they just haven't updated the description, or they maybe forgot, or they just decided not to. This is something I would like to again recommend. Himalayan hat with the base 15% weapon speed just makes sense, right? Focus Flurries has a base 15% weapon speed, and then it has a perk on top of it. Snow Boots has a base 15% weapon speed and then a perk on top of it. The reason I don't know why Himalayan hat would not have 50% and then the bonus perk on top of it like it would. That's what they intended with the buff, but it has not changed. Now I will admit I have not taken this into the testing range to see if what the specific change would be and if it has maybe gone through and they just haven't updated it. But this is just something letting them know, devs, hey, that didn't go through. So if you guys check that out or have the time to check that out, us Mei players would definitely appreciate that. Because Himalayan hat's still an item at its current state, if it's 10% base and then 10% while your blizzards are active, it's not really an item I'm gonna pick. So I would like to see that be more viable, just so I have more options as well, at least on par with the other options, right? I'm not looking just for Mei buffs on all across the board. I'm just asking for things that are significantly worse than other picks just get brought up to somewhat around the same level. Again, just to give us more options. Now, let's go right next door to the other item power, which is Snowshoes, which is another power where it seems fun, and it's not a bad item at all. The only thing I would use that for, though, is if I was planning on dying a lot and needing to get back from spawn very quickly. Just because shooting at the ground, it's a very unintuitive way to play the game. Now, between fights, completely fine, right? It's a nice, easy way to get 35% movement speed to get back to the point. But it's not really something I'm going to be using in a fight just because it's just going to be wasting my time. It rarely is going to be useful. So what I'd like to see from that, and what I figured was the case until we tested it like a month ago, is that Snowshoes doesn't work in your blizzard, and it doesn't work in your mini blizzards on like your wall and your pillar. You know, I would consider those frozen ground with the perk, and I don't know why that's not an interaction. I don't see anything wrong with having 35% movement speed while you're playing in your blizzard. Now, I could see where maybe getting it in your mini blizzard might be a little too OP, but you should definitely get the option to use that movement speed when you use your ultimate, right? Because you don't get to use your ultimate that often. So I don't know. That's something I'd like to see. It would probably make Snowshoes much more interactive for me as a player. Getting to like throw down my freeze and then getting to take advantage of that movement speed while, you know, people are trying to kill me before they freeze. I think it'd be a really cool way to incorporate or encourage people to use that item more often, because I'm telling you, I don't see people pick it very much. If they're gonna pick one of those weapon purple items, it's gonna be like Focus Flurries, right? Because that's something that's a little more interactive, a little more useful to the player. While Snowshoes and Himalayan hats just kind of get overshadowed by it. I mean, it's not a pick I see in many builds, and I think it's something that really, with just a small tweak, could be more fun for the player and not too intrusive to the other players, like on the enemy team. By making those changes, I don't think those are going to be OP to where like people are going to be like complaining about it. So again, this is all about just bringing like underperforming items up to what like Mei's meta picks are right now, just to give her more options. I'm not asking for a Mei buff, really. I'm asking for just more options, like these items that are basically just what's a good word for it? I don't want to say, I've said useless so much, but they're just there. They're cosmetic. There's something that's like, okay, haha, that's funny, let's try this out. You try it once and then you're like, okay, I'm not gonna pick that again. Is kind of how I feel like them. And I'd like to see these powers that do add some complexity addressed going forward. So I think it'd be a lot of fun. So in this match, you can see we got 2-2 here. This is a spicy match, by the way, and we're farming some credits off this one. A lot of fun. Now that's all the ideas I have right now that I wanted to talk about, but I did want to end this at least portion of the video by letting the devs know specifically that this is one of the greatest game modes that sorry, not we, you guys have done to Overwatch. I can see the passion that the devs have for this game mode. I feel like it's reignited the passion for the development team, and it's reignited the passion for a lot of players, including myself. And I just wanted to give a massive thank you to the dev team about that. There's a lot of things that you know have gone wrong in the Overwatch history, but I want to say that this is probably hands down one of the best things that I have seen ever. So thank you guys so much for that. It sparked my enthusiasm for the future of the game. I'm excited to see what's gonna come of it. I'm like on top of, I'm actually like excited to see all these changes. I'm not just kind of droning out like I feel like I have been with Overwatch the past couple of years. Is that I just haven't been that excited for these changes, and this is one where it's like it's a brand new game. Like it's something that I know I'm gonna play. So I am very committed to trying to make this game as fun and as enjoyable for as many players as possible. So anytime I talk about these changes, I'm really trying to keep everyone's best interest in mind. For things that I can feel from things that I hear from enemies or teammates about what's annoying, what's not annoying, what's fun. I'm really excited for it, man. I'm really excited for the future of Stadium, and I honestly think that, you know, in a couple of years, Stadium might be more. It might just be Overwatch, you know. That's how much potential I think it has to just do a lot of really good stuff. So the rest of this video, I'm probably going to talk to you guys about this end game here, because we are using the slow ball, and I do want to mention that there's not really been a huge amount of value that I've gotten from it outside of shooting Reinhardt. A 15% slow is just not enough. It's really not enough, especially with Cyber Venom in the game. It's just it's so weak compared to a lot of other things. But these fights in particular, we had the enemy team has, you know, a very aggressive Reinhardt, really flying around the map. So we're trying to slow him down as much as possible, while also trying to just play distance so we don't get absolutely smackdowned in the face. This crazy Reinhardt, and I always love seeing it. This style of Rein used to actually really frustrate me because I never really knew how to play around it. There really didn't seem to be many counterplays to it until we finally came up with our Ice Palace build, you know, which basically just lets us play vertical above the Reinhardt as much as possible, kind of like how we're doing here. So we've kind of messed around with that a little bit, but again, I am trying to use that slow ball to slow him down, just so I can show you guys how much it affects him. Now, obviously, if he has shield up, that's not going to trigger it, but it's still something that gets a little bit of value. But if you're investing more into like this is, if I'm doing like a machine gun Mei build where I'm doing a lot of weapon speed, weapon power, and I'm just right clicking like crazy. Now, obviously, I'll probably end up picking slow ball, just because it's inherently going to get value over time. But like I was saying, if I'm not playing that, I'm not going to pick this in anything. Like, this is a very one-dimensional power. This is a power that like doesn't really do much outside of that. Like, there's no other interactions with it, right? Because you don't really have any other slows. It's not like it's going to stack on top of Cyber Venom. Since he already said that slows don't stack, so like if they're already getting affected by Cyber Venom, we don't get to like slow them down additionally. It's just gonna not affect them at all, which is again kind of the reason like it's just not something I want to pick. And it's good early game, like I mentioned earlier. It can be good early game ish, right? I don't want to say good, but it's like, you know, it's viable early game. But the moment you get to like round 4 or 5, like it's nothing, man. It's just a paper power, you know. It's something that was good, and now you're kind of just stuck with it, and that's kind of the reason I'm not a huge fan of it being a power. You know, maybe if we do make it an item, I could see that being a little bit better. Give me the option to sell it, so late game I don't really have to worry about it. Now, obviously, that means we have to get another power for Mei, and we have so many. Again, we have options for that. I'm not saying they need to come up with a whole new power for Mei. But again, I think that we need to buff it or make it more interactive, right? If you're going to make it 15%, give me the option to hit a headshot to bring it back up to 30. You know, like it was before. Because I think overall this was... I don't want to say a nerf to what slow ball was, because in essence, I really don't think it was. I think this is like the tiniest buff from former slow ball. You know, with the 30% slow on crit. But it takes out that dynamicism of what the power is supposed to do. So now it just becomes... It becomes exactly like what items are, right? It's just something you equip and then kind of forget about them for the most part. You know, 5%, like Compensator gives you 5% weapon power. You just slap it on there and then just play like you normally do. That's exactly what slow ball is now. It's just slap it on there. You'll get 15% slow when you hit shots and just forget about it. Which again, for me, is just a weird way to go about addressing a power. So obviously you've seen this. Ryan has my number, dude. the amount of times I've gotten pinned or like smacked across the face during these fights, you can see that's kind of been my big objective, was just like just kill this Ryan in some way, shape, or form, or just at least prevent him from getting value. But this is one of those matches, man. It really was a cool game. Really was a cool game. We have our divas playing Toki Slam, Reinhardt's in the back line, dude. Mei's doing a colder build, Reaper's doing like a Blossom. This match is like one of the perfect examples of why Stadium is so cool, in the fact that you have all these heroes playing a completely unconventional playstyle from like normal Overwatch. You know, a flying Reinhardt, a Kirby Slam Diva, you know, and I'm probably doing the most conventional playstyle, which is just shoot your gun, you know, a lot, you know, which can be fun sometimes, but does get boring. But that's what I love seeing. That's what I was talking about. It's like, this game has the potential to have such a wide variety of matchups. And like, knowing that I can just like pick Mei, but then also turn into any hero, essentially. Like, I have right now on my build list, I have like 8 separate builds that are completely unique from each other, that are also like, I can just, those are like 8 heroes that I can pick from when I queue up into a match. You know, I pick Mei, I'm comfortable with their mechanics, but then like, depending on what the enemy team's doing, how they're changing everything, I can become like a fire hose Mei, I can become a machine gun Mei, I can become a ball of death Mei, I can do the ice palace Mei, I can do a flank Mei. You know, there's like so many options and cool ways to address problems in the game, which is what makes Stadium so special. That's what I want to see more of. You know, the reason I talk about these ideas, the reason I talk about all the changes you can make to this, is because I want to push that even further. I really want to make play into this game's strengths to really, I don't know, push Stadium farther. Man, I think it's one of those games where it's like, I just know it's gonna do great. So, all right, 3-3. You guys know I love posting nail biters. So I'll try to narrate this last match for you. Kind of give, I know this video is kind of all over the place, but I had a lot of things I wanted to say today. So I'm going to take this last round and kind of narrate my thought process for what I'm doing with this build. So if you guys are running slow ball, or specifically just any build, really, you're doing like machine gun Mei, what I'm picking and what I'm trying to do. So right now you can see I'm just investing in, I have a lot of money, I have excess money, so I'm grabbing the most expensive items. I'm grabbing the closer, I'm grabbing Eye of Spider, I'm grabbing booster jets, I'm grabbing Himalayan hat, even though, you know, we've talked about that, but again, an extra 20% max for that is kind of what we're investing in. I got focus flurries for even more weapon speed, and then on top of it I got Phantasmic Flux to give me just all around lifesteal, ability power, weapon power, and the ability to overheal myself to give me more survivability. Especially when you're doing poke like this, you're not taking a lot of frontline damage, so you have a lot of opportunities to build up your overhealth from Phantasmic Flux, which is why I like grabbing that. You don't necessarily need lifesteal in this build, but the overhealth and the lifesteal together just make you more survivable overall. So I really like that. I think this one, yeah, I decided that Himalayan hatches wasn't worth it. So I picked up the Osaka suppressor just to try to get some healing reduction in there. Which again is an item, right? 30% healing reduction for 2 seconds when you hit crits. That item alone is just so much better than slow ball. That's what I mean, is like, but it seems like slow ball seems like an item at this point to me. And that's what I was kind of talking about. All right, so let's get back to the game. So we've got a lot of damage, we've got a lot of weapon speed, and we've got Phantasmic Flux. My goal is to play long distance angles and spam out targets that'll force him to not be able to push up, or force him to like back up or play corners and not really get a lot of value. So you can see, not playing super close here. I'm kind of playing my max range, especially with my wall. And I'm just trying to spam him out a little bit. So this fight takes place. Mei comes in. I'm not trying to really take that brawl up front with my diva because I'm just not going to get the same amount of value. Now, I do have 2 of my pillars here, and I know I can get some pretty solid value if I get Ryan stuck in there. So I do use those as an option. But I need to remember that I'm going to be very vulnerable without that survivability, so I definitely got to keep playing back here. So wall comes out. We spam down Moira here. Love the extra damage that we're getting. Love it, love it, love it. Now we're just chasing down. Mei and Juno get out here, but we're in a really good spot. Love to see that this Reinhardt was staggered a little bit, so I can do the same thing I did before. Toss the freeze, slow him down, try to zone this out. If not to get a kill, just for me to live and to rotate out, because I was in a bad spot, so I kind of tossed that down. Now, even though we kind of popped off here, it was still kind of more of like a self-preservation. Don't be afraid to use your freeze to live as well. You know, if you freeze some people in the meantime, great. But if you can use that and make sure you don't get staggered for the next fight, I definitely think that that's probably a better usage than just dying, right? Especially in these fast-paced matches in Stadium. You really need to make sure that you can keep up with your team. Getting staggered is probably the biggest way to lose matches that I've noticed in Stadium. So we zone out the Reinhardt with the wall here, try to press her who's on point, force him to waste his time. Then we go back to spamming down, start to back up here, right? Because this fight's breaking out. Now we're in the freeze, and we know that we have kind of like an Ice Palace-ish build. So what I'm going to do is force them, and I can see that everyone pushed up. The Mei's going to try to finish me up here. I'm just going to keep rotating my walls and trying to live, right? Using my abilities to stall off this payload, right? Because I'm not really staggering myself as long as I'm contesting that payload. So just keep playing up here, keep contesting that payload, using the full duration of it before we drop the next wall. This is a great way to buff your survivability, especially against like heroes that play more on the ground, right? Reaper, Mei, Reinhardt. It's just really good. Now, I do recommend like more of an Ice Palace build against these kind of comps. It's super, super strong. So if I wasn't testing out slow ball, I definitely would have built into Ice Palace this game. Now, if you don't know what Ice Palace is or what the Ice Palace build is, I definitely recommend checking out my channel. You can just look for Ice Palace and you can get the build code on there. We just updated it to version 2, I believe. So it is updated right now, and you guys can use those. Especially, it's probably one of the more stronger builds for Mei right now that I like to do. So huge freeze here, huge finish up with the Reaper to finish out this match. And it was a great fight, man. It was a great matchup between these teams. A ton of fun. Love to see the flooded GGs in the chat there at the end. It was just a good match, man. And this is what I'd like to see. I love seeing these really close matches with a lot of creativity thrown in, and a lot of like passion. It really is. It feels like passion. It feels like something that's like, man, it's just really cool to like have all these options to address issues. Now I know I talked your ear off today, guys, and I know I talked a lot about a lot of stuff, but I do want to finish up and say thank you to the devs again one more time for making such a special game mode. Any of the suggestions, obviously, I just want to get them out there. I don't expect these things to happen. I just want them to be out there so at least the devs know, especially for people that play their game so much. And trust me, I'm on like 5,000 hours on Overwatch now, man. I've played the game, so I know that the devs are busy working on it, so they don't get all that playtime. So just putting that feedback out there so they have some perspectives from some more hardcore gamers as well as some of the more casual players, just to get that perspective. So if you guys do have any more suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Please let the devs know in the comments if anybody watches this, just so they can see the things that we're asking for below. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you again for all the support. We'll see you on the next video coming out tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody, and keep it spooky. Peace.